Please wait for your conference to begin.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's evening on my side, morning, I guess, on your side. We will be going through the acquisition Ask the Expert. We will go through the following issues that was raised a lot of, well, not a lot, but some questions in some areas. We will go through VAT GST in ALMA, how ALMA is handling VAT GST. We will go through PO lines of type serial. Hello? Was there a question anywhere? No. Okay. So again, I would ask everyone to put yourself on mute so we will not have a background noises. And we will go through PO line of type serial. When we say PO line of type serial, there are questions on what the difference between a continuous PO line, standing order monograph, and standing order non-monograph. We will go through that. And we will, at the end, try to speak about purchasing and invoicing review rules, when these rules are executed, and how to set them. And we will be using ALMA for that session. Okay. If there's anyone who does not see my screenshot, just raise your hand. Okay, good. After everyone is seeing my screen, and we can start now. Okay, I will be jumping from the slide to from the presentation to the ALMA back and forth. Okay, the first question is, how does ALMA handle I hear echo, please, everyone mute yourself, please. How does ALMA handle VAT comes from EDI invoices? Can the VAT be calculated for products and not for services, or vice versa? And can we use VAT in invoice line level in terms of what is the difference between VAT in invoice line level and VAT in invoice level? And if we're using the invoice line level, do we have to put VAT in every invoice line? And how does it impact the invoice itself? So let's go to ALMA and start talking about invoices in ALMA. This is ALMA, the Create Invoice screen. When you click on Create Invoice screen, you usually see the how to create the invoice, whether it's manually from file, and if you're not using accrual mode, and I will be talking about accrual mode if we have time. Let me just turn it off. If you're not using accrual mode, then you're able to create invoice from PO. So we're creating invoice manually, put all the mandatory fields. We are assuming that the fields that we are filling right now are fields that are coming from the vendor together with the invoice, so it's not something that we need to think how to put or where to put. And so I'm not stopping on the fields themselves. I will be discussing this section of the invoice, the VAT section. Okay. As you can see, VAT section has a few fields. Some of them are rather new, some of them are not, some of them are visible, some of them are invisible, and we go through them. The first one The report tax, this field is a new field added in last February release. I'm talking about almost, well, more than a year ago. February 2014, sorry. We added that in order to support self-VAT and use tax. Self-VAT is in UK, use tax is in US. And if you're not familiar with this, I assume I have that this is okay now. Okay. If you're not familiar with the terms of use tax, self-VAT, or you are not using the use tax in your institution, then this is not the report tax is not for your institution, but I will discuss it. I will explain how to put it, how to use it, and what it does. And then we have the VAT per invoice line, this checkbox. When you check it, says that the VAT in this invoice will be added in each, or not each, but in invoice line level, meaning that you go to the invoice line, you will see a VAT section, and you can add VAT to the invoice. Note that you can add VAT to invoice line. It doesn't have to be the same percentage or the same amount, or it can be one line can have VAT, other can be exempt, and so on. And of course, the VAT percentage and amount, one of them is filled, the other one is calculated. If you fill the amount, the VAT percentage will be calculated. If you put the VAT percentage, the amount is calculated. And we have here VAT type. VAT type has three possible values: inclusive, exclusive, which are very familiar, and the line exclusive. And by explaining them, the inclusive okay, someone is asking, your invoice details screen looks different from ours. There is no report tax checkbox in our ALMA. There is no explicit ratio section. What is this? Okay, so I will explain what is the explicit ratio. Well, I can assume that the one who is asking that is coming from North America. But the explicit ratio is for institutions that have ledgers in more than one currency. If you have ledgers in more than one currency, American dollar, euro, Canadian dollar, all of them are supported in your institutions. Usually European markets are using euro and also pounds and US dollar. So they may have more than one currency. When they create the invoice, they will have explicit ratio, allowing them to set explicit rate for each currency versus the invoice currency, meaning that if I put here a number 2, it means, and click add, oh, I put 1 by mistake and said 2. Well, that doesn't help me much. This is better, okay. When we put 2, it means that each dollar costs 2 euros. And when we set explicit ratio, each euro costs $2, whatever. If we said explicit ratio, it means that when it goes to translate the rate from US dollar to euro in the euro fund, it will, instead going to exchange rate table, it will take the explicit rate from the invoice. This is what it means, and this is, you will only see the explicit ratio if you have more than one currency in your institution. You do not have to fill it. It's an optional field. The report tax, however, is something that, as I explained, is for the functionality of use tax and self-VAT. If you have in your institution the functionality that you need for every item or every benefit that you purchase outside of the state, you need to report to the governmental the tax yourself. There's a lot of explanation why it's good to local economy, but in terms of ALMA functionality, what happens in this area is that when the invoice is exported to the ERP system once a while gather all the taxes need to pay as a sales tax, a sales VAT, or a use tax, and they report to the government, let's say once 3 months or once 6 months, and they tell the library, please note that we paid $500,000 tax on the last 6 months on your behalf. Fund it. Find the money to do it. And libraries in this area sometimes find it difficult to prepare themselves to that. And this functionality, using a report tax, helps them to create an invoice that holds only the report, only the tax on that invoice. If I check this report tax, you saw that the VAT amount and percentage became grayed out. You cannot add it, you cannot change it, and this is because when this invoice will be paid, you will get a notification that this invoice is marked with a report tax. Paying this invoice will create an invoice tax, meaning invoice that includes only the tax on the goodies that have included in this invoice. And why some institutions have this functionality and others don't is because this institution, we created a vendor, which is a governmental vendor. You can see we can create a vendor, and we can either mark it as material supplier, access provider, licensor, and so on. And we added a new field called governmental. If we check it, we cannot check the others. We cannot order anything from the government. And we said that this government, we need to pay tax of 12.55% on all the things that we buy outside of the state. Just by adding a vendor, which is a governmental vendor, allows me to mark the checkbox of report tax, allow me to report the tax on this on each invoice if I want. Any questions up until now? Okay, let's continue. I don't remember where was my invoice, so I opened I know the vendor. Okay. God, I went to the wrong. I need to go to invoices. Zooming them out. Let me a little bit. Okay. Let's open one of them. So again, the report tax will be seen only if you have an active governmental vendor. You don't have to use it. It's an optional field, but if you check it, you will not be able to add VAT to that invoice, not in the invoice level, not in the invoice line level. There is another field here that you don't see it, and you only see it if you configure your institution system in that way. And the field code VAT code. We have VAT codes mapping table that if it's empty, it's not in use, you will not use it in the invoice. But if, for instance, I want to use VAT code, I can say, call it monograph and put 10%, call it monograph, and add another code for cereal, which will be 12%, and call it cereal. And when we go to the invoice, there's a new field called VAT code field, and you cannot add fields manually, only using the VAT code. This is in order for institutions that want different VAT amount for different kind of PO lines, but they don't want the user to remember what percentage the cereal, how much I need to pay for monograph and so on. So they create the VAT code, and here you just add monograph, click the update amount, and it will add 10% in the invoice level. If you use the VAT per invoice line, for instance, you will have it the same in the invoice line. Let's just add some PO line to that invoice. It doesn't matter which one. Okay. I close, and I don't know if you saw it. The VAT in invoice line is visible if you click VAT per invoice line. It allows you to go to each invoice line and add its VAT explicitly. There's a question here, does explicit ratio support all world currencies? Well, explicit ratio supports all currencies supported in ALMA. So currently there are a lot of currencies that currently are not supported, but we are, it's in the roadmap. We are in a discussion with a provider of the currency rate to support the maximum currencies worldwide, and it's especially for Europe, for I think Australian and Asian countries that are using Asian currency like Korean currency and Afghani currency or whatever. So explicit ratio supports all the currencies supported in that institution. So if I have in this institution fund in Afghanic currency, I will have this Afghani currency in the explicit ratio list. Okay? So again, I can add here cereal, click update, and it will add 12% to that, and click save. Let's hope it save it, go to the salary. Well, we do have issue with this environment. It doesn't save it, but if I come here and I look at the VAT, I will say that 12% of the line will be calculated here. Usually when 12% are added, VAT rate is added on the line level, and the operator is going to the summary screen, looks at the VAT section. Sometimes it puts 10% in a line level, which is a very small portion of the invoice. And it goes here, and you see that the percentage is not 10%, it's barely 3%. This is because the amount of the VAT from the total amount of the invoice is 3%, but in the specific line, it's 10%. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. Okay, so the question, how ALMA handles VAT when it comes from EDI invoices. So let me just go to show you what EDI invoice looks like. Okay. For those of you who work with EDI and have the honor to go into the EDI file, look at the invoice, this is how EDI invoice looks like. It has an invoice attribute saying that this is an invoice. It's a debit invoice, not a credit. Credit is 381. This is the invoice number and how the VAT is included. This is specifically coming from YDP, Yankee Book Peddler. Yankee Book Peddler, we work together to build up the how EDI invoices coming from YDP will be loaded into ALMA, and we came to agreement that the invoice will be the VAT, the tax, will be charged on the invoice level and not on the invoice line level, which means you will see the VAT in the header of the invoice. This is the first line. This is the first attribute of the header. This is the header of the invoice. So where do I see the tax? This is the tax. You will see a field called allowance or charges. The C means it's a charge, it's not allowance. TX or tax means that this is a tax field, and the monetary amount plus H right after that refers to this allowance charge field, to this charge, and the amount is 11.29 with local currency. Currency is USD, you can see it here. This is how YBP report their tax on the invoice in EDI, and it is always, when it comes from YBP, in the invoice level. Other vendors might put the VAT in the invoice line level, meaning if I'm going to the invoice line, I might see something like what we just saw in YBP, ALC plus C with a tax attribute, or I might see a monetary amount that is related to tax. Monetary amount of VAT is actually, we use the monetary plus 124. I can barely see it. Let me look for it. And if it's in the if it's in the invoice line level, then here it is. Okay. So in this case, it's not in the invoice line level. It's in the invoice level because it's in the summary of the invoice. If it's in the summary of the invoice, it's also in the invoice level. You see that it has tax exemption, so it has a zero value of tax. But if you will see this field in one of the lines, let's say we will put it in one of the invoice lines, then the tax will be calculated in invoice line. If in any circumstances ALMA found that a VAT
bike. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing the second webinar. So. Yeah,
Can you put
a rerun.
On mute, please? Excuse me.
No, he's doing it live again. But there are 6 here. It's the same thing. It's being recorded. There are 60-something people here. Wow. Look at it.
Training team, you're not on mute, please. Thank you. So again, if I put the tax amount, if in any circumstances ALMA finds the tax amount reported in both line level and invoice level, this will result an error. Let the operator knows the tax cannot be reported in both line level and invoice level, but usually it's something that is fixed right away by discussing it with the vendor. So it's not an issue that lies too long. If this something happens in your institution, let us know and we will discuss it with the vendor right away. So again, in Alma, when we load invoice from EDI, these are the default values that are will always be currently used, and I will discuss it just to let you know what is going to be changed in the coming releases. I'm not sure exactly which will be changed when. So let's start with the expended from fund. Whenever an EDI invoice is loaded to Alma, the expended from fund will be checked, meaning that the VAT will be spread over the line. There are cases where customers, institutions do not want the fund to be expended from the VAT to be expended from the fund. They want this checkbox to be unchecked. What they need to do, they need to add invoice review rule for each invoice coming from EDI to be stopped in review, and then go in and manually uncheck the expended from fund. When you uncheck the expended from fund, you will go to the invoice line. You will see additional line, adjustment line. Bear in mind the adjustment line is an FYI, meaning the VAT will go to this line, but it will not be funded. No transactions are created from adjustment line, and you cannot edit and add a fund to it. This is because of the assumption that if you want the taxes to be funded, then usually you will use the same fund that is used for the line. So it means you will check the expended from fund, and if you don't want it to be used the same fund, it's usually when you don't want it to fund it and you get a refund from the government, from the state, and then all you need is to report it, so you can see it in your report. So the adjustment line is only for report issue and not for creating transactions. However, in the coming future, we are planning on let the institution decide whether they want the EDI tax to be expended from the fund or not. We are going to add it to the vendor level, same as we do for do not prorate. When you check this checkbox, it means that all the overhead amount, shipment, insurance, discounts, and so on in the invoice level will not be prorated to the lines, and each one of them will go to a different invoice line called overhead invoice line. And since you need to fund this invoice line, you will have the option to add the fund here. So any EDI coming from this vendor, EDI invoice coming from this vendor, and will have an additional charges. The additional charges will go to an overhead charge invoice line, and will use this fund that we just selected here. Same will be done for expended from fund in the next future, in the coming future, and it will say expended from fund or do not expend from fund, and when it's checked, the user can decide whether to expend the VAT from the same fund or to use it as a different adjustment line, and this will save the operator from going in each invoice and update it manually. So this is in our roadmap, just to let you know about it. Okay, so as I said, invoice can have VAT in invoice line and level or in invoice level. If you put it in invoice line level, it doesn't have to put VAT in every invoice line. And this goes to the question that can the VAT be calculated for orders and not for services? If you want the VAT to be calculated for the PO line, for the orders, and not for the services, and vice versa, what you need to do, currently we do not have it in a configuration option in ALMA, but what you can do as a workaround, and it's a very reasonable workaround, is to split between the services and the orders, meaning that do not check the use pro rata. And if you do not use pro rata, you will have different invoice lines for different service. And you can always, if I go to the invoice, zooming in makes my eyes a little blurry. Cannot find anything. So if I go here and I do not check the use pro rata, if I check the use pro rata, I do not have the shipment invoice line that we just saw. But if I check, if I'm not checking it, I can go in and you see that I can add invoice. Of course, I need to also check the use VAT per invoice line, and I can go in the invoice. In each invoice line, if it's a different line, I want to use VAT only for shipment and insurance, and I don't want to use VAT for orders, so I will not put VAT on the order line, but I will put VAT here. Okay? So this actually workaround that's currently in place, and it will not, we are not planning on adding currently as a configuration issue to ALMA. Okay, the next issue, how to create one invoice when it comes from a vendor that covers many, over 1,000 serious PO lines. Can they be added as a group, or are they added one by one? Okay, so if an institution has any working procedure with a vendor saying that the vendor is sending an invoice, one invoice that includes over 1,000 or a few hundred PO lines, serial PO lines, what we recommend to do is to build the process with the vendor in a way that the orders are loaded into ALMA using embedded order data. When I'm saying embedded order data, I'm talking about the import profile. And you can see it here, import profile for new orders. And this import profile did for new orders, I can add here a vendor invoice number, put it in a local field, 949 field 9. By the way, this is the input EOD, and this is 949 field number 9, and this is the vendor invoice number. So this vendor is saying that all the PO lines coming in this EOD having the same invoice number, it means that they will appear in the same invoice. What ALMA is doing in that case, ALMA forces all all the PO lines coming in this file that have the same vendor invoice number to be grouped to the same PO, purchase order. And in this case, ALMA overrides the packaging rules. It forces all the PO lines to be under that PO, okay? And what is the benefit? We can actually search for these PO line under that PO. All of them are in review because I did add the renewal date, you can see, but it's just for this testing case. And you can see that all of them are under the same PO. So I have how many of them created? 10. Oh, 10 is enough. So I go to the create invoice from PO, and here I will put the vendor invoice number. You see that we found the PO. When we click Save, we created one invoice that has invoice line for each PO line in that PO. Takes the fund from the PO line, links to the PO line, it has the price from the PO line, and all I did is just create the invoice from that PO. So, just to summarize this little issue, first you need to build the working procedure with the vendor, that if the vendor sends you invoices including 1,000 lines and you do not want to add it one by one, this is a very good working procedure that ALMA supports. But if for some reason you got an invoice, it has a lot of PO lines, some of them are imported using the EOD, some of them are not, and they are all in the same invoice, we do not have a procedure in place to create invoice for multiple PO lines in a way like a process automation or something. But what we do have is we can load the invoice from Excel file. So if you know the procedure of creating an invoice from file, you can create it from an Excel file, and if you don't have the Excel, you can download it from here. And all you have to do is, well, this is also a time-consuming, but believe me, it is much easier than go to the invoice and add the invoice line one by one. You can add it here, all the invoice lines, use the PO line, and load it to ALMA. If you use this Excel, the same, this Excel, for example, has two invoices. HIND is the header of the invoice and the invoice summary itself, and HIL is the header of the invoice lines, and this invoice has two invoice lines, and this invoice has three invoice lines, and so on. If I load this Excel to ALMA, it will create two invoices, one with two invoice lines and the other one with three invoice lines, and if it has more than 500 lines, it will load all of them to ALMA, create the invoice. This is, we believe, can help cases where vendor is sending one invoice, including very large amount of PO line. Any questions on invoice, tax, VAT, EDI? Okay, if you have any question after this session that you did not want to ask you can send it to me through the training team. Okay, we have a question. Do all PO lines in the serial PO also associated with the reporting code and funds? Reporting code is not a mandatory field, but each PO line created in Alma can be linked, can have its own reporting code. It's not added manually automatically, it needs to be added manually. And when it comes to funds, if the PO line is from the acquisition method that requires funds, then fund is a mandatory field, and you have to add funds to the PO line. When you create the invoice, you link the invoice line to the PO line. The invoice line extracts from the PO line the fund, the PO line price, the number of items. Each one of them can be override by the operator, and also the reporting code is fetched from the PO line and also can be override by the operator. Once you click save and close on the invoice line, it will create an expenditure transaction using the reporting code from the invoice line. Once you click save on the PO line, it will create encumbrance transaction using a reporting code from the PO line. So in general, reporting code in invoice line and PO line can be different. Usually it's not, because if you work with a consistent workflow, the PO line, the reporting codes go from the PO line to the invoice line, and from PO line and invoice line to their transactions. So I hope I answered the question. Okay. Now for the next issue, demonstrate and explain the difference between and when to use. Okay, I got another question. How is this done if each serial PO line already has a PO attached to it, which is unique to each title? I don't understand the question. If I'm attaching a PO line to a PO, it means that the PO line is, let's go to Alma, go to, if I loaded it from EOD, I can edit it and add a reporting code to it if I want to, and save it. Let's just put a renewal date so it won't yell, and save it. Not save and continue, but save. Okay. This is the PO line. It is now assigned to me. I can edit it, go to the fund, go to the transaction, go to where the transaction is. Okay. That I'd be smart, but I need to get the PO line. This is the PO line. This is the reporting code that I use for the PO line. It's in the encumbrance transaction. If I go create invoice for that PO line, let's go to the invoice that I just created. And by default, invoice that is created from PO uses the PO number as the invoice number. So I will be looking for invoice with the number of the PO number. Let's find it. Maybe it didn't create it, I didn't save it. Let's go do it again. Creating this from PO. I may have not saved it for some reason, and it wasn't saved. Let's save the invoice, an invoice with the same invoice number already exists, and I don't find it. Invoice number, it uses the invoice number instead of the PO number. Of course, it's the invoice number. My mistake. Okay, let's go. Edit, and if I'm editing, I can add a reporting code. I can use the reporting code from the PO line. I can use different reporting code, save it. Okay, and if I go to the transaction, just see that the reporting code was added to the expenditure transaction. Okay, now you see, you say, how is this done? This question has to do with the creating invoice from separate pages orders, not reporting code. If the invoice is created from separate purchase orders, meaning each PO line is in a different PO and they are using the same invoice, so in this case, either use the load from Excel with the PO line, or unfortunately, you need to add it manually to Alma. If you do not using the same PO, you cannot create invoice from PO if invoice includes PO lines from more than one PO. So currently we do not have it in place. It needs to be somewhere in the roadmap, but I'm not sure when to have process automation on invoices. When we have process automation on invoices, it will be much easier. Okay, hope I answered. If not, just let me know. So let's continue with the next session. What is the difference between print book, standing order, physical standing order, monograph, physical standing order, non-monograph? And there is a question, there's a request to go step-by-step procedure for creating the purchase order, and then the invoice for these three scenarios would also be helpful. So let me just explain one thing. A print book standing order is exactly the same as physical standing order monograph. Again, a print book standing order is exactly the same as physical standing order monograph. So what is the difference between standing order monograph and standing order non-monograph when it comes to physical? Standing order monograph does not create inventory in Alma. So if you create order, if you go here and you create, you go to the community, search for a title, and create the order for it. Let's go to here. You can either create a subscription, physical journal subscription or one-time physical subscription. All these are regular, continuous, or one-time PO lines, depends on which one you select. But it's not recommended, but you can go down, drill down, and select physical standing order, monograph, or physical standing order, print book standing order. So this one, when you select the monograph, you do not create any inventory. So how does this PO line is assigned to an inventory? This question is coming through issues, emails, and etc. Customers said that they create PO line without inventory, and now they want to add it to an inventory, and they think by creating PO line without inventory is let the inventory be attached to the PO line later. No. PO line without inventory cannot be linked to any inventory. It's a special PO line. It is used for access services or other services, but not for inventory. If you want to create PO line and attach an inventory to it, we now have I'm not sure it's merge release or May release. We have the ability to create input, to create the order and assign the inventory later. So if I select a journal one time, we will have an additional field here saying attach the inventory manually. If you check this field, it's currently not in place, it will be in the next release. When you check this field, the PO line will be created. No inventory will be created by this PO line. And the assumption is that this PO line will be linked to an inventory later on. So if you will save and continue, we'll say you cannot save and continue because PO line does not have, it says location is a mandatory field because physical inventory is added by adding the location. But it's the same thing as saying that you have not assigned any inventory to that PO line, but it doesn't have anything to do with the standing order. Standing order is a special continuous order that each item has its own holding. So from the item point of view, it's like a one-time because the item is pointing to the PO line. But from the PO line point of view, it's a continuous because it has a renewal date. So how to close this gap? You need to create the inventory manually. Let's go to the PO line that I just created. Hope I find it quickly. Okay, standing on a monograph. What you have to do is you need to go here, edit the record using the MD editor, and I hope that most of you are familiar with the MD editor. It's not my expertise, but when you add it here, you go to Tool. I'll do it quickly. I will not go all the way. You do Add Holding. Okay, you put the mandatory field for holding, and we put main, and we'll go to holdings, add item. I think that I meant library is mandatory field. I'm not sure which one is the library. However, you click here, add item to that holding. It will open. Currently it has a mistake. And as I said, I'm a cataloger and it's not my expertise. It will open the item editor, and when it opens the item editor, you can add the item to that holding and assign the PO line to that item. And then the next time that you want to add item to that PO line, you need to go again to the bibliographic record, add a new holding, add item to that holding and assign the item to that PO line. So the PO line will be linked from more than one place. But this is how ALMA supports adding standing order monograph to the PO line. When it comes to standing order non-monograph, standing order monograph is exactly the same as subscription. When you create a standing order non-monograph, just let's go back to ALMA and look for standing order non-monograph. Purchase type. This is a standing order non-monograph I just created in the morning session. You can see that it creates an inventory, a holding after this one, and this is the same as any other subscription. It has a renewal date. You can receive the item from the receiving workbench, and it is exactly like any other subscription. And when it comes to the last bullet in this section, when you add invoice to that PO line, since these PO lines are, from the PO line point of view, they are considered as continuous PO line, they will go, when they are sent to the vendor, they will go to a status called waiting for renewal, and it will always be partially invoiced. Then invoices can be added to that PO line. It doesn't matter if the PO line is a standing order monograph, non-monograph, or a continuous, or one-time when it comes to the invoice. The only difference is when it's a one-time, invoice may close the PO line. When it's a standing order, it will not be closed by adding invoice, paying the invoice, and receiving item. If you want to close it, you need to close it manually. So this is the difference between one-time and continuous. And when it comes to standing order, the only difference is how to add inventory to that and assign it to that PO line. So let's use the last few minutes to discuss the review rules. Purchasing review rules demonstrate how to set and when to expect the rules to be executed, and invoice review rules demonstrate how to set and when to expect the rules to be executed. Okay, let me start by saying that the review rules allow the operator, the institution, to say that I want, when an automatic process is running and start loading in, data to ALMA, there are cases where I want to start the process and review the PO line, review the invoice. This is what the purchasing and invoice review rules are for. Okay, purchasing review rules, when you set the rule, it will be executed when an automatic PO line is loaded to ALMA. Automatic means through EOD, embedded order data, or using API, create PO lines through API. Unless you specify here that you want only import EOD, or only API, or both EOD and API, if the PO line meets the criteria that you put in this review rule, the assertion code, for example, previously canceled order resource. I want, if I load invoice to a previously canceled order resource, I order the resource and cancel the order, I want to see it. If the acquisition method is gift, I want to stop it. So the relation between these lines is end, meaning that this rule will be executed when the assertion code, previously canceled ordered resource, and acquisition method gift, and electronic title standing order, and import EOD or API it will stop in review rule. But bear in mind, if the user is creating the PO line manually, just because creating the review rule will not stop the PO line in review rule when it clicks Save and Continue, because the assumption is that when it comes manually, someone is actually reviewing the invoice. If you want someone else to review it, then do not click Save and Continue, click Save, or have it go through manual packaging, not automatic packaging, and it will wait in package, and someone will be able to view it here. This goes the same for invoice. Invoice review rules will be executed when an automatic process is trying to load invoice to Alma. Automatic is either through EDI or through Excel. Currently, there is no API for creating invoice, but if and when it is ready, so also for API. These are the automatic processes that create invoices. And of course, that the parameters of invoice review rules are slightly different than the PO line. For example, I can add a rule that I want the invoice to be in review if it comes from EDI. EDI, I want to stop it. I want it to be in review because I know that EDI puts the expended from fund always as true, and I want sometimes to be to uncheck it. So every EDI will be waiting for in review, and operator will go in and decide whether to uncheck the expended from fund. This is a very good example of how to eliminate the expended from fund until this configuration is in place. And even after that, even after it's in place, you can sometimes want to uncheck, and sometimes you want to let it go. And again, if you create the invoice manually, even if you have invoice review rule, it will not stop in review, because the assumption is that when it is created manually, someone is actually reviewing the invoice. And if you don't want it to go to continue the workflow until someone else is approving it, then either click it, save it without clicking Save and Continue, or simply add invoice approval rule, and it will wait for you in approval, waiting for approval. Okay, this is the last slide. I hope that I covered most of the things that you were expected to see today. If you don't have any questions right now, but if you have questions later on this session, something that's very close to EDI, invoice, order, review rules, anything, you can contact me through email, send me, and I will be happy to help you.